When a flight attendant questioned a quiet man's right to wear a simple cross around his neck, she had no idea who she was speaking to. That man was Keanu Reeves. What began as a subtle moment of judgment, barely more than a glance, soon unfolded into something far deeper, a moment so powerful it would leave the entire cabin in silence. By the time the plane touched down, no one on board would forget what he said, or how he said it. Los Angeles International Airport was alive with its usual chaos, families weaving through crowds, executives locked into their screens, and hurried announcements crackling overhead. And yet, moving through it all with quiet certainty was a man in a plain black t-shirt, faded jeans, and worn sneakers. No entourage, no designer luggage, no hint of celebrity. It was Keanu Reeves. Some people glanced up, their eyes narrowing in curiosity. Could it be? Maybe. But he didn't move like someone seeking attention. He walked like someone who had nothing to prove, and hanging loosely around his neck was a small silver crucifix. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't bold, but it carried weight, an invisible history etched into its worn edges. He approached the first class. He ate and stepped into line, handing over his ticket. The flight attendant, Carla, her name tag read, glanced at him, then at the pass. A brief flicker of doubt crossed her face. "Sir," she said, her tone polite but firm. "This line is for first class." Keanu smiled gently. "I'm in the right place." She looked again. The name was there, printed clearly. Keanu Reeves. Her pause wasn't because the ticket was wrong. It was because the man in front of her didn't match what she expected a first-class passenger or a global celebrity to look like. Still, she let him through. But something about him lingered in her mind. As Keanu made his way down the aisle and settled quietly into his seat, Carla continued to observe. Maybe it was the contrast, the simplicity of the man against the luxury around him. Or maybe it was the crucifix. It now lay fully visible over his chest as he buckled in. A modest symbol, aged, imperfect, but deeply personal. Carla felt something stir. She didn't know why. She couldn't explain it. She'd dealt with movie stars before, loud, arrogant, entitled. But this was different. This man wasn't trying to impress anyone. He wasn't trying at all, and maybe that's what made her uneasy. Minutes passed. The plane took off. The sky stretched wide. Inside the cabin, the lights dimmed, casting a soft hush over everything, but Carla's gaze remained locked. Then, with rehearsed precision, she approached. "Sir," she began, lowering her voice, "we ask that passengers refrain from displaying overt religious symbols in shared spaces, especially in premium cabins. We try to maintain a neutral environment." Keanu turned slowly, his face calm. "I'm sorry," he said. "Have I broken a rule?" "No," she replied, a little too quickly. "It's not about rules. Some passengers may find certain symbols divisive. We ask for discretion." Keanu glanced at the crucifix. "I've flown like this for years. No one's ever had an issue." "Well, times are changing," Carla said. "People are more sensitive now. Would you mind tucking it in?" Her hand motioned toward the cross, but hesitated, like she didn't want to get too close. Keanu didn't flinch. His voice didn't rise, but it resonated. "This crucifix isn't jewelry. It's not a statement. It's a part of me." Carla smiled politely, the kind of smile that tries to end a conversation, not understand it. "Of course, we respect that, but we do ask passengers to keep personal expressions discreet, especially here." Around them, a quiet ripple was beginning. A woman across the aisle looked up. A man paused his music, removing one earbud. The tension in the air was subtle but real. Keanu's voice remained steady. "With respect, I feel like I'm being singled out." Carla blinked. "Excuse me? If someone wore a pendant of a tree or a star or a stone, would you ask them to hide it?" She didn't answer. Instead, she cleared her throat. "I'll give you a moment." Then, just as she turned to leave, Keanu said softly, but firmly, "This necklace has saved my life more than once. In war zones, in hospital beds, in nights I didn't think I'd wake up. I won't hide it, not now, not ever. The cabin fell into a silence so complete it felt sacred. Carla's professional mask cracked for just a moment. Irritation flickered across her face and everyone saw it. But Keanu didn't move. He wasn't trying to create conflict. He was simply holding ground that meant something to him. If you refuse, Carla said stiffly, I'll have to escalate this to the captain. You do what you need to do, Keanu replied. But understand this. The problem isn't what's on my chest. It's what's in your eyes. Silence. She had no response. No policy to hide behind. No words to soften the truth she'd just been handed. And in that moment, the energy of the entire cabin changed. The problem isn't what's on my chest. It's what's in your eyes. The words echoed louder than his voice. A couple nearby exchanged glances. The man subtly angled his phone and hit record, careful not to draw attention. Carla straightened her posture, trying to regain control through appearance. I'm simply following protocol, she said. If you refuse to cooperate, I may have to notify security. That got attention. Heads turned. A hush fell over the cabin, the kind that descends when something real, something raw, cuts through. The usual routine, but Keanu didn't flinch. He didn't raise his voice. He looked her in the eyes and said, Call whoever you need to, but understand this. The problem isn't what's on my chest. It's what's in your eyes. Silence. Carla stared, caught in the mirror he held up, not with judgment but with clarity. His words weren't aggressive. They were true, and that made them harder to swallow. Further down the aisle, a flight attendant paused mid-task. The couple kept recording. A few passengers nodded subtly. The divide forming wasn't between faiths or ideologies. It was between perception and reality. Carla backed away without a word, jaw clenched. She didn't know it yet, but the tide had begun to turn. Keanu didn't back down. He sat quietly, his silver crucifix resting on his chest, unmoved not as a statement but as a truth. Carla stood in the galley now, arms crossed. She wasn't just irritated, she was challenged. Her authority had been questioned, quietly, publicly. Her uniform felt heavier, tighter. The tablet in her hand felt useless. Nicole, she said tightly. Up front with me. The younger attendant blinked. Is everything all right? We have a situation. Passenger 2 is refusing to comply with a direct request. I'm escalating. Is it about the necklace? It's about setting a precedent, Carla replied, avoiding the question. Nicole followed reluctantly. Carla returned to Keanu, now more rigid than before. Nicole stood just behind her. Mr. Reeves, she said, louder this time, using his full name now that she realized who he was. I'm notifying the captain. If you continue to disregard cabin expectations, we may involve security upon landing. Keanu turned to her, calm. You're escalating this because I'm wearing a necklace? For refusing to follow crew instructions during an active flight? Carla said. The words sounded official, but they landed like a lie. Nicole's voice broke in gently. Maybe we should talk to the captain together before it goes that far. Carla shot her a sharp look, but it was too late. The power was shifting. She'd tried to assert control, but revealed her lack of it instead. 5 minutes later, Captain Morales stepped out of the cockpit. Mid-50s, calm. His very presence slowed the moment down. What's going on? He asked. Carla spoke quickly. He's refusing to hide a religious item that could disturb others. He's escalating. Captain Morales turned to Nicole. Your take? Nicole hesitated. He's respectful. He hasn't escalated anything. He just didn't want to hide his necklace. The captain nodded and approached Keanu. Mr. Reeves, I'm Captain Morales. I want to ensure everyone's well-being. May I hear your version? Keanu looked up. Calm. She asked me to hide this, he said, touching the crucifix. She said it might make others uncomfortable. I said no. I told her this necklace has been part of my life for years, not as ideology but as survival, as faith that held me together when nothing else did. I don't wear it to provoke. I wear it to remember I'm still here. Silence. So still you. Could hear a seatbelt click 3 rows away. Captain Morales turned to Carla. Did he say anything disrespectful? She opened her mouth, but nothing came. To Nicole. Anything aggressive? No, sir. Captain Morales nodded. Then, over the intercom, he said, This airline is committed to respect, inclusivity, and the freedom to express one's faith without fear or shame. It was subtle, but clear. Carla stood at the back, hidden by a curtain. Her phone buzzed. Non-stop. She hadn't checked it. She didn't need to. She knew the video had gone viral. Her words, her face, telling Keanu Reeves to hide his crucifix. It was everywhere. Her chest tightened. Not from panic, but from shame. Not because of the backlash, because she saw it now too. She saw it from everyone's perspective but her own. She remembered her grandmother's voice. Kindness isn't what you say, it's what you choose not to hide. She had hidden behind rules, behind control. But now, there was nowhere to hide. She stepped out of the galley. The walk forward felt longer than ever. Eyes followed her. She reached Keanu's row. He looked up, calm. Carla stood still. The words didn't come, so she let her body speak. She slowly knelt down. Gasps. I was wrong, she said softly, voice trembling. I told myself I was protecting the cabin, that I was being professional, but really I was protecting my own discomfort. Tears welled up. I've spent my life hiding behind neutrality. I thought it made me strong, but it just made me blind. She looked up. I'm sorry. Keanu stood, gently took her hand, and helped her up. He hadn't gloated. He hadn't retaliated. That somehow made it even more powerful. You don't need to undo it, he said. You faced it. That's more than most ever do. 2 weeks later. In a small apartment, morning light streamed through the window. Carla sat in front of her phone. No makeup, no uniform, just a plain t-shirt. In her hand, she held the silver crucifix, the one Keanu had given her after the flight. She looked into the lens. I spent years thinking professionalism meant hiding who I was, she said. She glanced at the cross. This reminded me what it means to be human. A small smile. Today, I don't hide anymore. A pause. Thank you, Keanu. She stopped recording, sat quietly, holding the crucifix, not as a symbol of religion, but as a reminder of courage, of grace, of the power of choosing kindness over control.